Good morning, everybody. This is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. And over speakerphone, I have the oh so wonderful and very talented Todd Higgins. Hello, sir.
Well, good morning. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And now, Todd, you and I go quite a ways back working at the Duluth Playhouse together. You did a lot of
Yes.
work at the Playhouse and the underground there, doing lights and sound and things like that. You definitely gave me a foothold into my sound career as well, but you also do photography.
hmm
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful. And you are currently out on tour. You do touring with bands and things like that?
I do touring with Broadway productions.
Okay.
I'm currently working with Disney Theatrical on the national tour of Frozen, but that is on hiatus for a little while. So I've been home since March.
Okay.
But yeah, my regular job is Broadway touring down in so I'm headed down for Broadway tours.
Yeah, and where do you call home? Do you call Minnesota home, or did you switch states?
Yes, Duluth, Minnesota is my home. That is where my house is, and my beautiful wife and 2 dogs, and our yelly cat.
Excellent, Todd. Excellent. Very
Yeah.
cool. And now I know that you have quite an extensive career in theater and doing things kind of behind the scenes, but how did it get started for you?
The theater got started really just, I kind of always had an interest in sound, and I was a lousy musician. So I just kind of ended up behind the sound console, and that just, one thing to another. I went to school for studio engineering, and I have the patience for that.
Mhm.
So it kind of evolved into live sound, and then the gigs that were readily available were theater, and it was just a community great and very like-minded, and I felt at home there, and I just kind of stayed in live sound and theater from there.
Mhm.
Years of contacts, the career built, and I ended up touring.
Very. And now to get into these touring gigs, I mean, was it somebody that you knew? Did you just kind of apply? How did you get this gig?
Well, the touring kind of ended up being through people I knew. I ended up working at the time I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, so I ended up working downtown at one of the smaller non-union theaters, and met many of the guys across the street in the Union House. At the moment, they were renovating the old Orpheum Theater downtown, and they were doing the installation of the sound.
Mhm.
So they hired me to come in and do the installation over there and get that sound building up and running. And I took over as the sound engineer for the venue.
Mhm.
I knew those people who hired me, and one of them ended up out on tour. He had a guy, leave the tour he was working on. So he called me to come out and replace him. That was in 1998. Called me to come out and replace the guy for 6 weeks, and I have been on the road ever since. So yeah, it's meeting, and it is for me. It was just meeting people and doing the work. So
Yeah, fabulous, Todd. Fabulous. And now, how long have you been in photography?
I have. I mean, it kind of started in high school for me. My dad had a camera. He had an old Minolta SRT 101, and I mostly played with it as a toy for the longest time when I was really little. And then in high school, I just kind of found photography class. The honest answer is photography class got me out of English class. I always had an excuse to go shoot something for the yearbook or the school paper.
Mhm.
So I started just shooting photography in high school. It was interesting. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. And then it kind of faded away as theater started to envelop and take over my whole life.
Right.
And the photography came back in because of the touring, which was kind of great because I was going to all of these big cities and all these places. I thought, well, that's great. Then the photography entered back into my life, and slowly it became a bigger part of my life as well.
Wonderful. And now, Todd, I follow you on Instagram, and then you've got a Facebook page as well, Todd Higgins Photography. And you take a lot of places, mountain scenery, the sides of buildings, things like that. Have you ever ventured into portrait photography?
I kind of started out in portrait because, again, working in theater, I had a bunch of actors. They always want headshots. But it was never a thing that I was very comfortable with. I guess the one-on-one interaction and the conversational side of it kind of always felt a little uncomfortable at it. Always kind of gravitated more towards outdoors. So the landscape photography kind of took all that over. I tried portrait, and it was not.
All right, fair enough, Todd, fair enough.
I think it's a certain mentality. I think to be a portrait photographer, it takes a different kind of a personality. I think I'm a little more of an extroverted person than I normally am in my everyday life.
All right, sounds good, sounds good. Let's jump back kind of into sound a little bit more. You said you went to school for sound?
I did. I went to Scottsdale Community College in Scottsdale, Arizona for about 2 semesters, taking studio engineering specifically. So that, and that concentrated more on recording bands and working in a recording space and doing that mastering and tracking of music.
Mm-hmm. Have you put any of that to exercise now? I mean, we've got so many bands here in Duluth and Superior.
We do, and I don't do really much sound work when I'm at home. It's kind of, I'm away from home so much with touring life that when I am home, I don't work. It's like I'm usually home for such a short period of time that it's just kind of more of a vacation. So when I come home, I don't do the sound. And studio stuff in particular didn't really speak to me. There's just, I don't want to say repetitive, but it's
tedious.
Specific. So it's tedious. Yes, it's very specific. You're striving so much for perfection in the recording that you just work this same section over and over and over. Which I think is kind of part of the appeal for me in the live sound is it's happening now and it's also over now. So you just have to react to it and live in the moment. Hope you survive at the end of it.
Right. Excellent. Yes, excellent words. I have done live band sound in, a bunch of different venues around town, including the Playhouse. You're the one that kind of hired me, so thank you for that.
My pleasure. Thanks for taking the job.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so there's a difference between studio sound and live sound. And you kind of gravitate more towards the live sound. You said it's kind of in the now, and then the moment's gone, and you're looking for that next moment and, keeping everybody on par. I guess for people that don't quite know, I mean, what really goes into doing a studio mix down? I mean, obviously it's very tedious. You listen to the same track over and over again. But what else goes into it?
Well, I mean, and again, this could vary on a lot of things depending on, budget and studio equipment size, but a lot of times you can record, like, get the whole band together, record the whole song, and then you just kind of use that as a backing track for them to listen to, and then you record each musician doing their part on their own, if not one at a time, at least in an isolation booth. So you end up with all these different tracks of individual instruments, just the bass, just the guitar, just the drum, all of this, and then you have to go back and put all of those together, layer them together, balance them. You don't want too much guitar, you don't want too much bass, all of that. And then after you've done that, which all the while to do that, to get that balance right, then you're just going to go through each section of the song. And then the bass player missed that note. Let's retake that section. We're going to re-record that, and then we'll drop that section in, and then you start editing. So there's a lot more to the studio work, and a lot more just that perfection and that working it out. Going back in and doing a second or third take or a fourth take, or if you've got all the budget in the world, somebody changes their mind about the whole direction of the thing, and you start all over. And you can do that if you've got the time and the money. It is very much a game of perfection in the studio, and which can be great if you've got this project in mind and something that you want. It can be great to take that time and really work it and build it into something that you want. But
Right.
a lot more layers to it. And you can isolate the things and do them one at a time, whereas in live sound, everything's happening at the same time.
Right. It's a lot more of a instantaneous balancing act, which, I've not spent a lot of time in studio settings, but like I said, I've done the live sound quite a bit. To me, definitely the live sound it's a lot more fun. It's a lot more action. It keeps you on your toes. And then if one of the artists misses a note, oh well. Moving on.
They missed the note. There's nothing. That's not your fault. There's nothing you can do.
Right. Very true. Todd, how has touring been going for you? You tour with a Broadway production. Your home base is here in Duluth, but it sounds like you've been all over the U.S.
I have been to almost every state except for Alaska and Maine.
Okay.
So I'd have to just make a trip just to do it.
Yeah, I'll say. Yeah. Go take a cruise through Alaska or something.
Yeah, right?
Excellent. How has the touring been for you? I mean, obviously it's not going on now, but...
Right, yeah, but when it's going on, it's great. I mean, the nice thing about touring is you kind of develop your own family on the road, and those are the people you're always with. And then, of course, there's always... You make friends in different cities. So there are some cities I look forward to going to see my buddy, Portland or wherever, and then also you meet new people. And the other side, and the photography side, is go to these great places forward and photograph and just kind of get out. Free travel to everywhere.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
What is it like being kind of like a sound engineer on the road? I mean, so many people, focus in on the artist that's on the road and not necessarily the people that are pulling the strings to make them sound good and look good. What is kind of your take and your life on the road?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, if I feel like if I'm doing my job correctly, they don't really notice, and they shouldn't. They're there to see the people on stage and to hear the story unfold and listen to the music. And if I'm doing my job right, that should all just kind of be transparent and a non-issue. For me, I like my role in behind the curtain, as it were. That's why I went to the technical side of things. I do not belong on a stage.
Oh, don't say that. Don't cut yourself short.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I may do sound for a living, but I can't carry a tune. And I know that about myself. I know what doesn't sound good, and I know I don't sound good.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, it seems like you've made peace with that, so...
Yes, very much.
Good. Excellent, Todd, excellent. So it says, so you had said earlier that you went to school for sound. You did a couple semesters down in Arizona. How was that time for you? I mean, were there lots of, learning curves or stumbling blocks or anything like that? Or did you kind of take it to a duck to water?
Yeah, I think I just kind of took to it. It was, I love gadgets, so sound is of course right up my alley in that respect. Full of gadgets, consoles, and recording deck, microphone, processing, and all of the technical side of it, which I usually just take to very quickly. And then, I've always enjoyed music, so I'm not being able to play it. I've always felt, I knew at least I could have a role in it. So it was exciting to me. And yeah, I wouldn't say it was. Obviously there's a learning curve. There's new, especially if you've never done it, but it made sense to me in my head. So
Excellent. And now, Todd, do you sell your photography? Have you done any commission work or anything like that?
I do sell my photography. I do have a website. It's toddhphoto.com, and I sell my prints from there. And I haven't done a whole lot of commission work. I've done, like I said, I started out in portrait work, and a couple of people have hired me to do portrait. But I think the photos came out fine. They liked them, but it wasn't the thing that drew me. So
right.
I do a little bit. I put some stuff up on stock sites like Adobe Stock, Shutters. I sell a little bit here and there. I wouldn't say it's a lucrative business, but it's better than nothing.
Very true. Very true. So you've got a website. You go out on tour. You're a sound guy. That's your day job. Photography is kind of your fallback, your hobby, your second job, rather.
Yes.
And you've been able to marry those two, it sounds like. Especially going out on tour with Broadway productions. You've also been able to do photography on the side. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Did that kind of just mold itself together?
It did. Like I said, the touring got me back into the photography, just visiting these places, and then eventually, my style kind of started coming around, and I realized I was more of a landscape than a portrait photographer. So then it just became, what city am I going to next? Where are those parks? And the nice thing about my job is my days are free, because theater, we do our work at night. So I have most of the days to go out and explore cities or parks. And our Mondays are our dark days, so we don't work on Monday.
Oh.
So I have all day Monday to go out and explore. So usually every city we go to, I'll take a big trip on Monday, and I'll go out and be on that day. Yeah, the touring and the photography they mesh well. They mesh pretty well together. I get to travel to all these fabulous parks and lesser known parks, but really gorgeous spots in the country. So it's fun to explore and discover new places all the time that way.
Yeah, excellent. Do you have a favorite spot yet, or are you still discovering places?
Yeah, always discovering places. There are places I go back to. Pleasant surprise recently was actually very near Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland is not usually my favorite place.
Okay.
It's getting better. Cleveland is getting better. So if you're there, but there's a great little park, Cuyahoga National Park, which is just kind of a little unknown. It's a town, really, but there's this beautiful, the Cuyahoga River runs through it, these gorgeous falls, and I had no idea it was there. And it's literally 20-minute drive outside of Cleveland. And the first time I went, I took an Uber. I was just I'm going to go out to the wilderness in an Uber, and I hope they can find me and bring me back.
Yeah.
And they did. I'm here to talk about it.
So
they
good.
came back and got me.
Good, good, good. And now, Todd, you had mentioned that you kind of started out in photography. Your dad had a camera. And kind of how has that evolved for you? How has that changed? I mean, I started out with my mom's film camera. Did you start out in film and then kind of graduate towards digital?
Yeah, I did start out in film. My dad's camera was in my Minolta, and that's since been lost in my many moves. But I did find one in a camera store a few years back, and I bought it. Still occasionally take it out. But I did start in film, because when I started in photography in high school, digital wasn't the thing.
Right.
It was only just kind of starting to be, and it was like these huge backpack units. And like it was a concept, and it wasn't a reality for anyone. So digital didn't exist in the dark room. So, I was always in that dark room, developing film and trying different things.
Yeah.
But it's how we all start, I think, right?
Well,
experiment and figure out what works.
Right. Yes and no. I started out with my mom's film camera and then very quickly graduated to digital, but I'm a little bit younger than you are. So,
yes.
Yep, but there is something actually really romantic and almost kind of noir and sexy about being in a dark room and getting these pictures to turn out and, putting them in the chemical and then they start to appear on the paper and yeah. I did that in college. I was lucky enough to do that in college, and it was absolutely fabulous. Although I will admit the bane of my existence was trying to get that film reel into the canister. I could never.
Canister, yeah.
Oh, I could never do it, and I always had somebody else help me.
That was one of those things you just had to practice. You just get a roll of exposed film and just sit there with your eyes closed and load that reel. Over and over and over again.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still do darkroom photography, or do you send that out?
I send it out. I will occasionally shoot some film. Doing film while traveling as much as I do isn't very practical, especially on the developing side. Carrying those chemicals around and stuff isn't really an option. It's not a very good one anyway. So I will still occasionally shoot film, but I send it out.
All right. Excellent, Todd. Excellent. And now that you're at home, you've been doing a bit more photography around here in Duluth, I take it, or have you gone exploring?
Yeah. No, I've been doing around here in Duluth because this is home, but I don't know it all that well, so it's been a really great experience to have this time off to just go out and explore.
Yeah. Have you found a favorite spot in Duluth yet?
It's not technically Duluth, but Beaver Bay, really like Beaver River coming through there. A really gorgeous little spot. I'm excited to go back to the fall when the color starts changing. And it doesn't seem like it's really well known, not like, Kettigooch or Gooseberry Falls swarming with people. Beaver Bay is just kind of a small little lesser known spot.
Yeah.
I do love long exposure waterfalls.
Oh, there you go.
Towards the water a lot.
Well, you are right next to a giant lake, so that helps, right?
I know. Yeah, it's real easy. It's like a 10-minute drive down to like 3 miles from Lake Superior. So I can be down at Bright Beach 15 minutes. And I often am.
Perfect, Todd. Perfect. Excellent. Any word on when you'll be back out on tour, or is everything kind of just in a holding pattern right now?
Everything's kind of in a holding pattern. This whole thing just came on very suddenly. So we were in Portland when it hit. The tour was in Portland, and we came into a meeting on Thursday morning. They said we're shutting down. We kind of did a little cleanup and prep work and left Friday morning, back home Friday morning, next day. So our set is still up, and we're actually supposed to go back in October to take it down, put it in trucks. That's it. That's all we might be back to work in January is what they're saying now. So fingers crossed.
Right. Well, and there's a lot of people that are keeping their fingers crossed for kind of something to happen or life to go back to normal in January. But, I've been saying that the masks are just a new accessory, and now everyone gets to accessorize. So you got to have some fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you should buy some fun-colored masks and wear those out.
Right.
I think I saw the favorite mask I've seen so far is the Krusty the Clown face.
What?
I want that one so badly.
Oh, funny. Jump up on Etsy. I'm sure it's there.
What's that?
I said jump up on Etsy. I'm sure it's there.
Oh, Yeah, I bet you're right. I didn't even think of that.
Wonderful, wonderful. And now, Todd, let's jump kind of more into the background, the backstage life of a touring sound guy, if we can. I've done backstage work for a long time. I know what goes into it. You know, everybody's got their own little kind of job frame that you sit in, and, you know, maybe you'll help somebody else out. But it's definitely a team effort to make the actors or the musician or whoever is on stage look good, basically, and sound good and be good. You know, that the end goal is entertainment, but it takes an entire team to put something on. What kind of is the daily life of a touring sound guy?
Well, it depends on the day.
Okay.
The tours I work on are kind of the larger tours, so we move on average every 3 to 4 weeks. So we have a period of the week that we call Snooze Day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and with that, and those are the days, the periods of time when the show moves from one city to the next.
Okay.
So you go in Sunday morning. There's usually 2 shows. You do a 1 o'clock and a 6:30 show, and then you'll load out the show, but taking everything down, putting it in the truck, and then going to the next venue. So load out, you know, your 2 shows. There's your 6-7 hour day there doing the 2 shows, and then you start your load out, and that's usually, depending on the size of the show, our Frozen is currently 17 trucks, so it's about a 12-hour loadout for the whole show to get out. So you'll start that usually around 10 o'clock, 9:30 in the evening. You work around till the morning, and then usually there's just enough time to go back to your hotel, take a shower, and go to the airport. Fly to the next venue, check into your hotel, take a nap for about 4 hours, and then go to the venue about 6 p.m. and work for about 5 hours that day, starting the load in. Back on Tuesday morning at 8 a.m., continue loading in the show. And that's everything. That's lights, sound, carpentry, props, musicians, wardrobe, all the management teams, everyone coming in. Load in usually 8 a.m. to midnight on the Tuesday. Wednesday morning you come back, do sound checks and rehearsals for the new venue, and do a show Wednesday night. And then once the show is into the city and up and running, usually we don't work during the day except for Saturday, Sunday. We'll do, you know, a Saturday matinee and a Sunday matinee. But our days are free, so that's, you know, we don't go until 6:30 in the evening, and then you work till 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. So you get a little time to explore city. You get a little time to, you know, kind of rest a little bit during the day from your Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, running into one big long day.
Is it hard?
You know, you know, you have those periods where the days are short, when you only work 6 hours in a day. But that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, where you work almost from Sunday morning to Tuesday night, is long, and kind of makes up for it.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it. Is it hard, kind of keeping track of all the equipment and things like that? I mean, 17 trucks. I mean, that's quite a bit.
That is a lot, but thankfully I'm only responsible for one of those. So
okay.
For me, it's not too bad. You know, sound fits on one trailer, so we have our one truck that comes in. So and it becomes a really well-oiled machine. Every department has their own equipment that they're responsible for, and they take down and pack, and you figure out the best order for all of those things to happen in. You know, like sound towers have to come down before the lighting grid can come in, and you work that out. And that varies a little bit from show to show, depending on the scenery and time constraints. But it becomes very well oiled, and everybody just starts to gel really well together if you have a good team. And we do have a good team.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah, like I had said earlier, it's a team effort to entertain, basically.
Yeah, it very much is.
Yes. Have you had a show that's just the, you know, top-notch peak performance from everybody, your favorite so far?
Oh, different shows for different reasons. Once was a really great show, just very different than anything else I'd ever done. You know, it was a very acoustic show, so you know, while it was very dependent upon sound, if you were in the right venue, it was really transparent. You just didn't notice the amplification. You just heard everything. So that was a lot of fun to do that. Also challenging. That show didn't fare well in very large venues because you just had to turn things up to make it heard in a venue that 5,000 seats. Like, didn't do well in here. But and then there's other shows. Memphis, just fantastic music, and just that cast was so high energy all the time. It was exhausting just watching them. But it was such a fun show to make. So, you know, there's just different elements about different
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Todd, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with me and talk with us about your sound career, your photography career. Absolutely fabulous. I hope that you get back out on the road soon, and I hope your photography keeps blooming. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending a little time with me. This was fun.
Of course, of course. And Todd, if somebody's interested in your photography or interested in hiring you out for a gig, how can they do that?
You can go to my website. That's toddhphoto, TODDHPHOTO.com. And there's a contact page on there. You can reach out to me there.
All right.
Yeah, you can find out all about me right there.
All right. Excellent, Todd. Excellent. Well, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Great. Thank you. You do the same. We'll talk soon.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Todd. Bye.
All right. See you. Bye.